The Secretary of the Department of Trade and Industry, Secretary Ramon Lopez, the Charge d'Affaires of the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines, Mr. John Law, to the DTI Undersecretary Yusek Blesilia Lantoyana, the Director of DTI Bureau of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Director Jerry Clavicillas, the Executive Director of the Philippine Trade and Training Center, Executive Director Nelly Diliera, Chief of Party of USH RIDE, Dr. Richard Abendan, Senior Consultant of USH RIDE RTI International, Dr. Napoleon Juanillo Jr. Friends, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant afternoon. As a member institution of the Technical Working Group for FAB LABs Philippines, it is my honor to present to you the strategic direction of the Philippine FAB LAB Network, a collaborative initiative of higher education institutions, government, and FAB LAB host institutions with support from USH RIDE program. As FAB LAB host institutions, we were able to identify three common problems shared by the Philippine FAB LABs. First, lack of a single representation of FAB LAB group engagements that will interface with stakeholders on behalf of the FAB LAB community. Second, need for further competency and capability development of the FAB LAB management teams so that we can deliver higher level of impact among our stakeholders. Third, lack of formal collaboration mechanisms within the FAB LABs and actors of its innovation ecosystems. We analyzed these challenges through a series of discussions and workshops assisted by USH RIDE. From these engagements, we realized we can address the challenges and also create a larger impact and wider reach if we work as a collective or network. As the FAB LAB managers across the country continue to reflect on how they can strengthen and sustain their facilities, especially with the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, they decided to prepare an open letter to express their desire for the information of a formal association of FAB LABs in mid-2020. Thereafter, with the support and guidance of their organization's leadership, these managers have begun seriously thinking about the foundations and strategies for the FAB LABs Philippines. As such, with support from SRIDE, the FAB LABs came together to co-create the network's vision, strategic directions, and project plans. In October 2020, in another episode of Makers Without Borders, the institutionalized technical working group was formally launched. The TWG was formed by the FAB LAB host institutions of Batangas State University, Bohol Island State University, Bicol State University of Applied Sciences and Technology, Mindanao State University, Iligan Institute of Technology, and the Philippine Science High School, Ilocos Region Campus. Since then, the TWG alongside the other founding members have been refining the details and early strategies for the FAB LAB Philippines. Today marks another important milestone as we formalize the FAB LABs Philippines through the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding among the 19 FAB LAB host institutions. By doing this, we will institutionalize the consortium and community of practice among the FAB LABs in the Philippines. In the coming months, we will be putting into motion the implementation plans that will further mechanize the movement of FAB LABs Philippines. USH RIDE has allocated funding for the FAB LAB Philippines web portal to be launched in 2021. I am pleased to advise that Batangas State University commits to the web hosting of FAB LAB Philippines web portal. Our friends from USH RIDE supported us through process facilitation, technical assistance that enabled the FAB LABs member institutions to co-develop the directions for the year 2020-2030 for FAB LABs Philippines. As a result, FAB LABs Philippines developed the following key outputs. First, a strategic plan of FAB LABs Philippines that reflects the vision and plans of the networks based on 4 planning sessions participated by the FAB LABs last September 2020. Second, the engagement strategy of FAB LAB Philippines that outlines the strategies identified to sustain the engagement of the network's key stakeholders. And third, the sustainability strategy of FAB LABs Philippines for the year 2020-2030. The shared vision. The FAB LAB Philippines is an essential and indispensable partner for the Filipino people, in addressing critical problems requiring innovative solutions. It is an internationally and locally significant, renowned, formal, diverse and inclusive organization representing but existing independently from all FAB labs in the Philippines. It is a catalyst for collaboration among its members comprising active and empowered FAB lab in the country. It is the recognized organization leading the efforts of the FAB lab community that ensures all stakeholders are empowered and have the capability and competency to deliver and sustain their individual and collective vision. The following are the five outcomes of the FAB Labs Philippines Strategic Plan. To address the challenge of single representation, outcomes number 1 and 2 were crafted as follows. First, FAB Labs Philippines is an independent, sustainable, formal, diverse, and inclusive organization of FAB Labs in the Philippines. Second, FAB Lab Philippines is the recognized leader and representative of FAB Labs community in the Philippines. To address the challenge of collaboration system, outcomes number 3 and 4 were crafted as follows. Third, FAB Lab Philippines is a catalyst for collaboration among FAB Labs and relevant stakeholders. Fourth, FAB Labs Philippines is internationally and locally significant and renowned. To address the challenge of competency and capability development, outcome number 5 was crafted as FAB Lab Philippines is leading the sustainability empowerment and capacity competency development of all FAB Lab stakeholders in the Philippines. To ensure that we are focused on achieving our vision, FAB Lab Philippines also developed its results framework that outlines the outcomes that will contribute in achieving the vision of FAB Lab Philippines, along with its intermediate results and programs. I will just summarize this to you in the following slides. In the coming months and years, FAB Lab Philippines will be working on organization's development along with its communications, public relations and advocacy programs. You can expect that FAB Lab Philippines will be profiling the specialization of its member institutions, along with the development of reporting and monitoring systems, expectations and targets, manual operations, and human resources. The FAB Lab Philippines will also actively nurture the collaboration among FAB Labs and its local partners. With this in mind, we will be implementing inter-FAB Lab programs, sharing of supply chain registries, and the development of national fora and attendance to international FAB Lab conferences. FAB Lab Philippines will also approach other systems that can coordinate the assistance of FAB Labs in matters of technology transfer. Finally, FAB Lab Philippines will also actively ensure that local FAB Labs are competent both from a technology and management perspective. This year, with the assistance from USAID's RIDE, DTI Philippine Trade Training Center, DTI Design Center of the Philippines, and DOST Advanced Manufacturing Center, FAB Labs Philippines conducted the training needs analysis for its member institutions and have just recently concluded the pilot of the Makerspace Management Academy, the envisioned flagship competency development program of FAB Lab Philippines. The consortium will also assist its member institutions in other program development efforts, such as the Big Brother, Small Brother mentoring program and trainings on occupational safety and maintenance. This is our baseline stakeholders and partners, both from the public and private sector, and we hope that we can explore more partnerships with other entities that advocates innovation. For the first 6 months, we will prioritize on the following. Establishment of FAB Lab Philippines Leadership Committee, establishment of FAB Labs Philippines Secretariat, formalization of partnership agreements with FAB Lab host institutions, launch of FAB Lab Philippines web portal, and launch of Makerspace Management Academy. Before 2021 will end, we hope to achieve the following. First, profiling of FAB Labs. Second, development of communication plan and branding guidelines. Third, development of open courseware for offline training. And fourth, assessment of leadership competency in member FAB Labs. And now, for the formalization and institutionalization of FAB Labs Philippines, I would like to call in the manager of the first FAB Lab in the Philippines, another member of the FAB Labs Philippines Technical Working Group from the Bohol Island State University, its FAB Lab manager, Mr. Jerome Manatad.